Hello and welcome dear viewers to the video on surfactant selection for dissolution testing. And in this video we are going to see when surfactants are required to be used in dissolution testing, how surfactants are selected, what is the criteria for surfactant concentration selection for dissolution, and what are the challenges. Then we will understand from the basics, and we will see how the surfactant plays the role in the dissolution testing. So generally surfactants are used for dissolution testing of the formulations containing insoluble drug substances, or you can say poorly soluble drug substances, or hydrophobic drug substances. So starting from the basics of surfactants, generally these are called as surface active agents. The agents which are added in the liquid medium, these agents or these materials reduces the surface tension of the liquid and thus improve the spreading and wetting properties. Whenever you are testing the formulation containing insoluble drug substance, that time the surfactants are required to dissolve the drug substance into the dissolution medium so that you can get the sink condition. These surface active agents work by wetting and solubilizing. So these are used as wetting agents and solubilizers. These materials are also having the property of detergents and cleaning agents. In the other field, these are also used as cleaning agents, wetting agents, foaming agent, anti-static additives or dispersants. Surfactants are used for achieving the sink condition in the dissolution testing of low soluble drug substances. So how these surfactant work, or how these surfactants behave as surface active agents. So surfactants are amphiphilic in nature. These are amphiphilic molecules. That means they are having the hydrophilic and lipophilic nature. These contains the hydrophilic, that is water seeking group, that is the head, and the hydrophobic or water avoiding or hydrophobic tail. So these are having the amphiphilic nature. Now we will see how the molecules orient and what is the CMC, that is critical micelle concentration. How this critical micelle concentration have the impact onto the use of surfactant in the dissolution testing. So critical micelle concentration is the concentration of surfactant in a bulk phase and above which these surfactant molecules aggregates and form the structure called as micelle. So this structure I have shown here, these get orient to form the micelles. The surface tension varies or changes strongly with the concentration of surfactant before reaching the CMC. So consider that you are adding surfactant into the water step by step in the same concentration. Consider you are adding 0.5 gram in 1 liter of water. This is for example. You go on adding the surfactant, and once it reaches the CMC level, these micelles will form. And before reaching the critical micelle concentration, that is CMC, the surface tension will vary or changes strongly, and once the CMC is reached, that time the surface tension will be uh, relatively constant or similar, and it will not change much, and any further addition of the surfactant will just increase the number of micelles. That means this is the reason why surfactants are proposed to be used at CMC concentration. Sometimes if the drug molecule gets solubilized before reaching the CMC, that is also fine, but using the surfactant above CMC level is not recommended, and if it is required to be used, then the strong justification should be there. Surfactants are most common additives in the dissolution media. The surfactant act as wetting agent. These also increase the solubility of the insoluble, low soluble, poorly soluble or hydrophobic drug substances in the dissolution media. It is critical to select the surfactant and its level for dissolution testing. Too much surfactant may lead to under-discriminatory dissolution profiles, and low levels may not give sink conditions. So there is a fine gap between the surfactant concentration CMC and the sink condition. Sink condition is recommended for having the reliable dissolution testing. So the surfactant should be used in such a level that the sink condition is met, the dissolution is reliable, and the dissolution is complete. So those points we are going to understand in detail in the upcoming slides. So now we will see how the surfactants are selected. When you are going to perform dissolution of low soluble molecules or the formulations containing low soluble drug substances, that time surfactants are needed, and selection of surfactant and its level is very critical for dissolution testing. So surfactant selection involves the screening of multiple surfactant and their level, because the surfactant effect will depend on the physicochemical properties of the API, the composition of the media, and dissolution conditions. The solubility study with different surfactant at various levels is performed for the selection of suitable surfactant at suitable level. So the commonly used surfactant can be taken for surfactant selection. Solubility study is performed, and based on that solubility study, the best suitable surfactant can be screened. The surfactants in vivo improve the solubility of the drugs in the GIT, that is gastrointestinal tract, and the surfactants can be used to develop dissolution method. So this is the reason why surfactants can be used, as GI contain the composition of GI fluid which contains surfactants, and that's why surfactants can be used in vitro also for dissolution testing. Here I have included some surfactants from the USP chapter 1092 along with their critical micelle concentration, that is CMC. So sodium lauryl sulfate SLS or SDS is having CMC level of 0.18 to 0.23%, and various surfactants they have given, which are classified into anionic, cationic, non-ionic, and zwitterions. So SLS fall into anionic category. Various surfactants are enlisted there in the USP chapter 1092, like cationic surfactant example is CTAP. These are given in the general chapter with their CMC levels, and these CMC levels can guide for the selection of the surfactant level. The non-ionic example is polysorbate, which is available as polysorbate 20 and polysorbate 80. Then zwitterion surfactant example is LDAO, that is the surfactant which have zwitterion, and its CMC is 0.023%. Now we will see how the surfactants are selected and what is the surfactant selection procedure. So generally before the use of surfactants, the parameters like effect of media pH, effect of buffer composition, and effect of volume and apparatus RPM can be studied. If any of these parameters can improve the solubility and can give the reliable dissolution results, then surfactants are not required to be used. Like if you are getting good dissolution results with increasing the paddle apparatus RPM from 50 to 75, then surfactants should not be used. Then when it is very much necessary that the surfactants are required to be used for getting the sink condition and dissolution, that time only the surfactants are required to be used. So first, before going for the surfactant selection, perform the literature search to get information on media and surfactant used in the dissolution testing as per the literature, so that you can use it as a starting point for your method development. Then perform solubility study with different solubilizers at similar concentrations, or you can take the concentration based on the CMC information available in the USP. So you can start with that CMC concentration for different solubilizers or surfactants, and you can see which surfactant is suitable for your drug molecule. Perform the saturation solubility and viscous solubility both, so that you will have the clear understanding about the surfactant which is going to be used in the dissolution testing based on the results of solubility study. Suppose you are using SLS, Twin 80, Bridge and other 3-4 surfactants, and out of that if you find that the SLS is having good results and SLS is commonly used, so you can select the SLS. Then perform dissolution with different solubilizers at similar concentrations. Like in solubility study, perform dissolution study also, because dissolution study will give the clear information about how the surfactant is improving the solubility in the actual dissolution conditions, and always try to have the standard dissolution conditions. So for selection of the surfactant, solubility studies and the dissolution preliminary dissolution studies are very much important. Then select the surfactant and perform solubility and dissolution at different concentrations. So if you found that out of 3-4 surfactants, SLS for example is giving you the good results, then you go for solubility study with the SLS only at different concentrations, like for example 0.1%, 0.25%, 0.2%, 0.5%, 0.75%, 1% and 2%. Identify the lowest surfactant level or lowest surfactant concentration to get the sink condition and complete dissolution. Complete dissolution means the dissolution which is above 85% of the level claim. Also have the surfactant level actually near or exactly near the CMC level. If you have the CMC level of the surfactant, then make the solubility study and dissolution study at the concentration equal to that CMC level. Then identify the surfactant level which is giving you the good sink condition and the dissolution results with complete release. Then develop a suitable method and dissolution parameters. Then perform discriminatory power of the dissolution method. So for discriminatory power studies, use the different formulations which are being made with the different CMAs of the drug composition or formulation composition and the critical process parameters, and based on that prove the discriminatory power of the dissolution method. Then one of the important thing here is to understand that we have to control the grade and vendor of the finalized surfactant. Because see, some surfactants are available in the different grades and from the different vendors. So whatever surfactant you have used, that surfactant grade and vendor should be controlled. Also try to use the grade of the surfactant and select the vendor at the time of initial studies only. Like you are going to perform the solubility studies and the dissolution studies, that time only you finalize the surfactant grade and the vendors. Because these CMAs of the surfactants have great impact onto the dissolution. If you are using vendor A and vendor B and you are having the observation that vendor A surfactant level required is higher than the vendor B, then go for vendor B and don't select the vendor A. So always try to have the surfactant level which is lowest level to get the sink condition and to get the complete dissolution. Then after completion of this activity, carry out dissolution of the formulation with selected surfactant level so that the effect of formulation excipient can also be understood. So this you can do parallel also. Carry out the dissolution of batches with varying CMAs, CPPs and stability samples to finalize the method. Study and observe any precipitation or instability of the dissolution media. And this is why this is to understand the compatibility of the surfactant and the dissolution medium whatever you have selected. Select and try to keep the standard dissolution conditions as possible for the dissolution method. So always go for standard dissolution conditions like 900 ml of media. If you are using paddle apparatus, then use 50 rpm. If 50 rpm is not working, then increase the rpm to 60 and then to 75 and include those studies in your dissolution method development. Here I have included some surfactants which are specific for the formulations containing the low soluble APIs. Like cortisone acetate tablets are tested with surfactant SLS 0.5% in water, danazole capsule 0.75% SLS in water, glyburide tablets 0.5% CTAB in pH 9 borate buffer. Canagliflozin metformin HCl tablets involve the use of 0.025% polysorbate 20 in phosphate buffer of 6.8. Nabilone tablets 0.1% Twin80 solution. Dasatinib tablet are tested with surfactant 1% Triton X100 in pH 4 acetate buffer. So many examples you can get from the literature. Then the common surfactants are sodium lauryl sulfate, polysorbate 20 and polysorbate 80. Other can be used based on the molecule properties and the dissolution studies performed. So then we should understand what are the challenges with the surfactants. First of all, always consider that justification will be required when you are going to use the surfactant. And if you are going to use surfactant above its CMC level, then you will need to have the supporting data and in detail, in-depth studies for justifying that level. Foaming in the media is a common problem with surfactant. Degassing and deaeration problems are there when surfactants are used. So generally degassing and deaeration is performed before the surfactant addition. Then interaction with the media. This is also one of the important reason and important challenge. Phosphate buffer with SLS should not be used because of the precipitation. So in place of that, use potassium or sodium phosphate buffer. Impurity formation or media interference, that is also a reason. Sometimes the surfactant interacts with the drug molecule itself and it may lead to precipitation and impurity formation. Interaction with the enzymes. SLS generally inactivates the pepsin. It is given in the literature. Problems in sampling and sometimes media preparation variations and media preparation time uh, is the challenge. Then cleaning of the dissolution vessels and the accessories. Because as you are using surfactant, and if these dissolution vessels and accessories are not cleaned properly, then that surfactant contamination may happen to the other product dissolution testing. So these are the surfactant and its challenges. So in this video, I have tried to cover the surfactant selection for dissolution testing, what are the basics of surfactants, how these surfactants are selected, and what are the challenges. So I hope you might have got good learning from this video. If you have any questions, any comments, or any suggestions, please do comment so that I can cover those topics in my upcoming videos. Thank you for watching the video, and I request you to please do like, share and subscribe to this channel and share with your friends. Thank you.